it back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Welcome to D.C.
Thank you.
I understand you are from here, that you're a Howard student.
Yeah, I live
You went
here.
to art school or film school there?
Film school at Howard.
How'd you considered other schools?
No, Howard was number one on my list.
Pretty iconic school.
Yep.
So tonight we're at the Newseum,
Sure.
and this morning down the street the legislators were on the stairs standing in solidarity with the recent events of Ferguson and Mr. Garner. And we're now here for your film, which takes people back to the civil rights era.
Sure.
Let you move forward with that.
I mean, it just reminds us that we're still living in that era. You know, the times, as much as things have changed, a lot has not changed. And so it's just a harsh reminder that we are continuing to tell the story because the story hasn't ended. And you know, films like Selma will become less important when you know, the rights of others in this country, the rights specifically of black and brown folk in this country, become more important. When this country finds a space to prioritize our life as valid and as equal to everyone else, then, you know, we can put down this sort of film acts, our weapon of filmmaking, to sort of, you know, in an attempt to humanize ourselves. So I think it's just an ongoing struggle. It's something that I'm assuming that I'm probably going to pass on to my son, and it's something that I'm on a day-to-day basis. My wife and I continue to remind our 15-month-old son that this is an important thing to think about, and that we need to be sort of in deep meditation on where we are and where we're going in this time.
Well, your film has been acknowledged by the industry. I believe you got 4 nominations today.
Mm-hmm.
But along with the good comes the downside of what the industry has changed with technology.
Sure.
Which means that your film may be out sooner than you actually expected the release.
Right.
How do you think of what's going on with technology? And if you were to talk to your 15-month-old son and tell him about what it was like to work on something so hard and then have it dissipated so quickly, what would you say?
Yeah, it's bittersweet. You know, technology is beautiful in some instances, and it can hurt us in other instances. And I think that's just, you know, I think that's been sort of the mind. I think that's been sort of true since human beings have sort of contended with mechanics. And I think that we just have to be wise on how we use these things. You know, but when you live in a system where people are sort of deprived of their own sort of like daily, you know, human rights, food, clothing, and shelter, it doesn't surprise me that people with bootleg films or release films earlier, when people are just trying to put food on the table, people do what they need to do. And so, you know, again, until we sort of change the context and how we distribute wealth, and sort of how we change the context and how we treat our next door neighbor, these things are going to continue to happen. So I don't consider my sweat on the film to be any more valuable than the sweat of a man who's just trying to put food on the table. I think we're all sort of dealing with the same thing, which is just like daily survival. So it doesn't bother me, though. I think it's unfortunate. You know?
You're dealing with a movie that's got historic overtones, so you have to do your rights research if you used photos and things, and so there's a responsibility on both ends.
Sure.
Did you enjoy the journey of researching back into other people's artworks?
Oh yeah. If I had to choose a career in another life, I would be a visual sort of archivist. I take great joy in sort of aggregating material from wherever I can find it, especially photographic references. I use those are sort of my biggest references when making a film. So yeah, I enjoyed every minute of that. You know, arguably so I enjoyed it as equal to, if not as much so, as shooting the film. The process of putting a film together is very intriguing to me. It's the process that I love the most.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.